Welcome everyone. Today we have a POE patch 0.11 live stream summary. Now because there's 15 pages of notes, what I'll do for this video is I'll briefly run through everything that's available, provide the documentation for you guys to have a look, and on the next video I'll give you my thoughts and also my adjustment to how this will affect the game. So this will be a speed run for the live stream. So firstly, coming over to the things that was revealed from the video and then the question and also answers. There will be 4 new map layout for the tower maps, which adds more variety and also gameplay for the maps for the towers, which is more mandatory for the Lost Towers. During this time, there will be more tablet mods, which allows us to add more bosses onto the maps. And this means you can be fighting more bosses for more rewards. Now, while doing so, there is also buffs to the Strongbox, which is strongly stated because Strongbox are not in the best place. At the same time, as you play the maps, you're going to see there's more map generation with boss mods spawned on the map, which is intentionally to be targeted in 1 in 4 maps, and the rate of this will be increased to this level. And during this time, as you're going to see the map nodes, you can now see the biomes of those maps. And because certain biomes will provide more jobs, this will allow the players to farm items more correctly, which we'll talk about how the knowledge node will affect this. There will be buffs to the monsters that is summoned or fixed to the monster that is summoned in Delirium, which also will increase the drop of Delirium by around 20%. There will be better expedition with buffs and also shop loots over time during the patches, and the goal of the expedition is to provide players with power-ups and things that normally you can't get with other leagues, and this is the example with Anointed Amulets that is also available with other leagues. And you can see the screenshots of the better rarity of items or better loot from the expedition. Now during this time, the developer has mentioned that we are allowing for more respawns against bosses. Because bosses can be very hard and you don't want to fail on the first go and then just to get devastated, there will be up to 6 respawns on the Arbiter boss. And for higher difficulty, the bosses will become, I guess, less respawns available. And the respawns is also available for the co-op mode as well. Now the difficulty of adding respawns to the boss is that this will also need to allow for coding, and also the boss resets cannot allow you to abuse this part. So bosses that without the monsters with it, like King of the Mist, will be done very soon, and this allows you to have more respawns on those boss. But bosses like the bridge boss will take a little time for additional respawns to be added. Now as we're going, the notice over here is the players are having trouble with Copper Citadel. And it seems like the developers look into the spawn rate. The spawn rates are the same, but the players are dying too much due to the broken mechanics that instant kills players even after the death of the boss. Because the Copper Citadel is harder and players are dying more, this is why the items coming from the Copper Citadel are selling for a lot. And this will be changed accordingly to make this easier for the players to stop dying in the Copper Citadels as much. Now there will be buffs to existing unique items, and here we have the screenshot from the live stream about a category and also 2 categories of unique items. Because during the live stream, even if I have the best quality, we can't see them properly, so we'll be waiting for the patch notes for this one. But the copies will be available for you guys to have a look in the docs below if you're looking and also curious about these unique items. So yes, there will be buffs to the unique items. Now over here, during one of the questions, the developer did say the corpses in the Lost Towers are not real, they're just random, and they're interested in making something interesting like this in the future maybe. Now one of the bigger highlights for the Citadels is that now the plan is to allow you to see Citadels in the frog. And what you can see is, this is the Frog of War, and you can see there is a pin to see the Citadels, which you can now target travel towards the Citadels to be farming for those. Now over here we have item filters for consoles. Yes, finally, and this is a big plus. They are looking into console players and making it easy for console players to have filters. As we keep going, the additional changes which will be helping with a lot of players is the ability to resocket and also override current socket with new socket of gems. And this is gonna be amazing, and this allows more flexibility when you buy and also sell items that is already socketed. Now, we had a question with nerfs. So this seems to be not the biggest nerf to most classes and also changes. And this is where we're going to dive into the question and also answers coming from the developers. So the developers have said the small maps versus big maps. The density of the small maps will be higher with more monsters, while the bigger maps can be good and bad. This really depends on the layout and also the clear speed. and there will be additional things that is added to the maps. For a small map, if you juiced up this a lot, there will be more bad luck protection, which means that you are investing a lot of currencies in juicing up the map, and the reward coming from those maps should be higher, at least to a minimum, that you're not losing out massively without any map sustain. So this protects players, whether you're playing small maps or the big maps, to have more map sustain, to have more minimum reward coming from those maps. The map layout with some of the maps like Maya and also Valve Factory is also very bad, and this is the feedback from the community. There will be balances to look at the maps and to make most of the maps worthwhile. The livers in the Valve Factories will cause a lot of death, and this will be fixed or looked into in the future patches. And in terms of the bad layouts and also terrible corridors and things, and this is somewhat compensated with higher density and also improvement to the towers with more layout and also more variety of the maps within the Lost Towers. Now, Waystone sustain is one of the questions. A lot of beginner players, especially new players, are having problems with Waystone sustain. The developers are saying that players are dying around 10 to 30% as they go into maps, and this is what's costing the Waystone sustain, together with experience penalty. They will be looking into this, and they also mentioned that they are seeing that players are powered through tier 1 to tier 15 too fast, and during this time, they're not getting the necessary upgrades. So players can be a little undergeared as they travel to the later stage of the map, and they will try to balance this for the future period of time. Again, during the question and analysis, expectation is likely going to be buffed. Now, the developers has mentioned there will be less bad in-game rare mods, and the higher tier rare items that previously was not showing like particular affixes like the attack speed on the bows are likely going to have them in the future. And the question we had was, can we have a display to see if the current tier of items we have, and the example we have over here, of course, if I hover over my mouse, you can see I have a +5 to minion skills. I want to know if this is the best modifier for my item, and this will be very good for the players. And this will be a work in progress in the future. There will be better console UIs, controllers, PC UIs in the future, but this is to be tested. And the developers has mentioned that they will be doing more for the console players. So what about the broken build? Are we getting any nerfs in the build? Well, the developer has stated that they do not want to mid-league nerfs. There might be a few just for the balancing of the patch, and when things are super broken, that is breaking the frames and that is crashing the servers and also the infinite loopings and that's destroying the frame of the player experience to 1 FPS. So yes, those things will still be changed, nerfed and also adjusted. But the actual change with a massive balancing patch is likely going to come with an economy reset. So how does this work is that there will be new league that will be available. You'll still keep your old characters, but in the new league, you'll start fresh. Ideally, the developers want to have new league with new mechanics, but this might not be the case. They want to have enough new content and also significant gameplay things for the players to be coming into the new league to compensate for the restart. The Magic Fund bug shield, yes, we mentioned that in the previous video with over thousands of Magic Fund, this will definitely be fixed and also nerfed. And the prices for those Magic Fund so-calls are already falling, which I'll talk about in the next video. And yes, some of the ridiculous builds that the developers has mentioned will likely still be affected. So even though there won't be a lot of nerfs, some things will still be affected, which I'll talk about in the future videos. And basically, the developers are saying that when things are getting nerfed, they want to have 10 things that is coming down, while 5 things or 15 things that is getting buffed. And with those massive changes, usually this will come after the economy reset with a new league that it will be coming with early access. Now, they haven't said when the new league will be coming, but this will definitely come during the early access. Now, over here, we have a strong and also important topic about hacks and also data breach. And the question was there a data breach at GGG? How are players getting hacked? So the developers were very straightforward on this. They have had compromisation of admin accounts and also support account. They lost the support account during Steam recovery, and due to this particular, system of losing this account, the support were able to delete the stolen support account were able to delete logs and also delete logs and also transactions of what happened. And they are confirming at least 66 accounts has been compromised. And because the reports has been deleted, they're not sure how many more has been affected. And they're very straightforward about this. They basically say we effed up over here, and the Steam account now in the future with customer support won't be linked, and they will make sure this kind of BS won't happen again in the future. So yes, we will write about the data breaches, about high-end account getting hacked, and this is true, and the developers are looking into this. So it's not a full data breach, it is a compromising of the supporting and also admin accounts that led to a lot of accounts getting stolen, losing items, and it's hard for them to see how many accounts were affected, but at least they're straightforward about this. They have mentioned that two-factor variation wouldn't have helped over here because admin accounts had direct access to your account, but in the future they will look into two-factor variation, but it is a very complicated system and they're not prepared to do this properly yet. The question is, are there going to be new content? Well, it is coming as soon as they can, and it is likely going to be at least one new act that will be coming. So we're expecting at least Act 1 to Act 4, or maybe even more in the future. And over here we have a lot of questions and answers. The first one is the state of Magic Find. How is it to the developers? Developers actually think it's okay after fixing the Magic Find problem with the shield, and this gives players more options to build into build than just the damage build. And the question is, will rarity become something we must have? The developers will look into the feedbacks from the communities, testing this to see if the rarities becomes a necessity stat, which is something they don't want. The next question was the state of melee and also mace classes, the long casting time, the clunkiness, and also the slow attack speed. It seems to be a problem more towards the mid-game and also end-game. In the campaign, melee class seems to be okay. This will be addressed in one of the big balancing patches that will be coming, and the warrior scaling will be something we'll look into, because they have limited access to attack speed. At the same time, the Hammer of the Gods one-shotting bosses with bleed seems to be very broken, and this definitely won't be buffed, and maybe even nerfed, we don't know. So yes, there will be more buffs towards warrior over here, and during the live stream the developers admitted that the warrior class seems to be the worst class at the moment in POE. So this is because the armors are not giving us enough defense, and armors can be a little complicated. Armor scaling and also armor stacking is not as powerful compared to the other defenses, and also actual mechanics that can be amplified. So here evasion, I cannot spell this, evasion and also stacking energy shield can also be double dipped with Grim Fist. They haven't said they will nerf this, but they're saying armor scaling is just not on the same level. So likely we're expecting some buffs to armor and also scavenger plating, which gives us more armor. Now in terms of the charms, the developers are not liking where it's at, and it's not something that we can even tell it's helping us. So likely there will be more access to more charm slots. This is coming from the passive tree, and also more unique items will be providing us with more charm slots. They might also be rework on the charm slots. In terms of the debuff not correct demonstrating on the monsters, so basically when the monster is actually slowing you, your charms that prevent you from getting slowed are not working. And also the unique items that prevent you from getting slowed are not working because the slows for the monsters are not correctly classified, and this will be fixed in the future. The state of crafting. So compared to Path of Exile 1, POE crafting is very random, and we call this one the slot machine or the randomness gambling. So the developers are aiming for Path of Exile 2 to be less deterministic. They want to add more crafting systems to the league, but they don't want this to be too deterministic and guaranteed. I know players want this and I do want this, but developers want to make this one more slot machine-like. They state this because they don't want easy access to the best items, the mirror tier items coming from players. At the same time, they don't want to devalue items that you find on the ground. They don't want you to just be like POE 1, you stop looting items because you know you get better crafting items. To help with crafting, they will have more ways of socketable controls of items, like replacing sockets with ruins and allow them to be adjusted, more chances of finding greater essences and also items which will help you to be crafting items. And also there may be rooms to expand with omens, but they want to look into the accessibility because those are very expensive. Now the state of trading, well, the value of divines has been falling, and one of the concern about this is that items are costing more divines to buy. This is because there's an oversupply of divine, and also players are not having enough ways to sync and also use divines. One example is players will only use divines on expensive items like the Astromontes, and the future patches will provide more unique items so players can use divines on those. Now, in terms of the state of the endgame, there will be new mechanics that will be added in the future. At the moment, they're describing the strongbox sucks, and this is like a noob trap, so this will be improved. One highlight was that they mentioned the bridge monster density is too high, so high that they're getting a lot of error messages on the server. So we might see some nerfs and some changes to the bridge density, and the essence drop will be improved in the future, so there will be more greater FXs or greater essence that can be dropped for crafting. The players' progression, the developers are not too happy with how the quests are designed, that you have to play a number of maps for the next player progression, and this doesn't feel right. So they want to drive towards killing bosses and also other ways of getting more Atlas points. So this also will be combined with having more tutorials for new players coming into the endgame. One of the questions is about having 6 portals and the risk of failure. The developers still want to have a risk of failure so that you can't just use all the 6 portals. But the experience penalty coming from dying seems to be a little higher, and this might be true down a little bit in the future with a potential and also possibility. So this is not confirmed, but they do want to help new players in this regards. Now, the developers have stated the need to do balancing with contents versus having only 1 portal that's available, so this is something they need to balance. In terms of the elements and also scaling with damage over time, they feel that it's in an okay state, but they are looking into changes, but it's harder to change one thing without changing others. Now, one of the major questions is whether we can get ascendancy swapping. We still cannot, coming from the developers. And the question is ascendancy supposed to be this hard for the final 2 points? And the question is, yes, this is supposed to be harder because this is supposed to be a grand achievement coming from players. Now, in terms of the build powers, are we expecting to one-shot pinnacle bosses? Well, the developers are not too happy with this design. So for the players who played the pinnacle bosses for the first time, they're expecting players to take 1 to 3 minutes to fight the boss. And because of this, then it is a little outrageous to have such a broken build. And this will come in with a bigger patch fix and also patch balance. In terms of the map clear objective and also conditions, at the moment, we can only kill all the rare monsters to progress through maps. They are planning to expand on this, but it's harder to allow for different objectives and also balancing those. In terms of the Atlas trees, it is gated behind the pinnacle bosses, and this still will be the case for additional League mechanic pinnacle boss trees. But the core Atlas trees will be updated and also adjusted for more interesting mechanics and also more interesting nodes in the future. Now, there is questions about when we're getting the map tab, and they're working on this one and also getting this ready as soon as they can. In terms of the crashes, bugs, and also customizations, they are working on this, but the people who are working on this are not back from the holidays, but they will be tracking this down and also adjusting and also debugging this. Now, because Gasly was on the live stream, he did ask a lot of questions about the minions holdout. So yes, minion block in the pathways will be addressed, and the developers are aware of this, and this will be a priority. They are testing a solution with as regards to the problems with minion AI, and one of the possibility of solution they had is maybe minions that dies from running distance too far away from the players will be respawned directly and also immediately onto the players, but this is not confirmed. Gasly also mentioned that minions getting one-shot by the boss feels bad, but the developers has mentioned that minions never dying against bosses also is not what they want. So there needs to be a balance on this. Minions' movement speed debuff when players are debuffed will be adjusted, and this is a bug. The accuracy with minions and also things that is not showing correctly will be also adjusted in the future. Again, a lot of the developers are still coming back from holidays, so the mini adjustments might not come as soon as we wanted. There is also the talk about specters. Because specters can revive monsters, so it is harder to implement the specters when monsters has a lot of crazy different modifiers. So yes, we're getting specters for the minions, but this might take some time. Now, here are some additional questions and also answers. We will be getting an Atlas search feature, much needed. There will be a nerf to the tornado bird in the trials, which is the super difficult one. Having in-game auction houses is still up for discussion, but it's not confirmed. Having accessibility to red and green for colorblind mode will be adjusted and also fixed in the future. There will be more visibility for rare and also blue mobs, and this will help us to identify those. Having additional visual co-op spamming is not something it's available to toggle off your friends' spells, but this will be something that hopefully will be adjusted automatically. Can we disenchant flasks? Yes, this will be added, but maybe the drop rate of flask with qualities will be nerfed a little bit. Can we backtrack with checkpoints? And also fast forwarding and also traveling to them without despawning and also spamming for rare monsters? And yes, this will be looking through. Can we see the gem options without having to open the crafting of cutting gems? And yes, this may be a potential feature. Can we be gambling in a hideout? And yes, this will be fixed because there was an exploit at the launch of the game, so they took away gambling in a hideout purposely. Can we change the choices made with the Volume quest? Currently, we cannot reselect rewards, and the developers will look into ways of changing those. Can movement speed become implicit for the boots? Likely not. So I will go not. Will there be UI adjustments and also more customization? Likely not much because we are not World of Warcraft. Will there be no body blocking in co-op? Likely there will be body blocking and also character blocking each other, but something doesn't seem right, so this will be adjusted. Microtransactions coming from POE 1 moving to POE 2. This is something they want to get done before the release of the full patch during the early access, and more time and also resource will be allocated in getting this shifted over to POE 2. And that summarizes everything. 15 pages, guys. If you want to read everything, I'll have the notes available for you guys. And in the next video, I'll actually break down into details of how each of those things will affect your build, your character, your economy, and what will be the best things you could be farming in the future, and what are the price of items that will be adjusting because of the changes. A lot of big changes and a lot of affecting to individual players and also your build and also economies to be coming in the future. Now, hopefully you guys found today's video helpful. Again, a big thank you to everyone on YouTube, especially our supporters and also those of you guys who's been supporting me on Patreon as well. And we do have a new feature on the Mattjestic YouTube channel. If you click onto this, you can become a member. Yes, I've added this just recently, and this will allow you to have early access to videos that is posted a few hours or even half a day earlier if you want to watch those videos a little early. But yes, this will cost money. So please be aware the membership will cost money. And if you do want to watch videos normally, those videos will still be available after 6 to 12 hours, normally on the time we post those videos. And I do want to say a thank you and also welcome to our latest YouTube members over here as well. And thank you for supporting me, guys. And I'll be aiming to post at least one Path of Exile video a day, and this will be including guides, tips, news update, and also the latest tricks that is discovered on both the English and also Chinese community to keep you guys updated. And if you like those videos, make sure you leave a nice comment and also leave a like for those videos. Now, before we finish, if you guys haven't subscribed, this is a really good time to do so because I'll be looking into the latest Path of Exile 2 news on different communities and also on our official forum, official webpage. I'll also be looking into the best build for each of the class as the meta develops with the Chinese and also the English community. So stay tuned for the latest update and also guides for Path of Exile 2. And of course, this is going to be a big month for us. And I'll try to bring you guys all of the latest content and also guides for Path of Exile 2 to come.